Hi, everyone. It's your favorite talk show host, Patrick, here today, and we're going to be discussing some of the current events going on in the world of soccer. So, first one, which is pretty big news right now Manchester City, after this weekend, are on a 5 game losing streak. They lost at home over the weekend, and yeah, it was the first time losing at home in 2 years. They did not lose in their own stadium for 2 years, which is a big deal. And yeah, with Manchester City, they've been the most dominant team in the Premier League the last 5 or so years. I mean, they've won it almost every year recently, and it's really shocking to see them in this position right now with they have, probably the best coach in the world in Pep Guardiola. They won the Champions League last year. And now they find themselves on a 5 game losing streak. They've lost in the Champions League. They got destroyed by Porto. The Swedish striker Gyökeres got 3 goals on it. And it's looking a bit concerning for them, to be honest. They lost their midfielder, Rodri, who just won the Ballon d'Or, the best player in the world trophy. He just won that, and he tore his ACL, I believe, and he's out for the season. And it's starting to show now how key of a player he was for them. I mean, they were just so dominant. They win almost every game usually, and they lose him, and now immediately they go on a 5 game losing streak. It's it's pretty shocking. I'm not sad because I'm not a Man City fan, but if I was a Man City fan, I would be worried right now. The league is already slipping away from them. Liverpool are playing really well, and it looks like, they're not, it looks like Man City's not going to win the league this year, which I think is a good thing. They've been so dominant. It was only a matter of time before they went through a rough patch. And it looks like this is happening right now, but they still have a lot of time, obviously, to come back, and they probably will. They'll figure it out. They're a really great team. They have a lot of really high quality players. So yeah, it's very unusual to see them in this position, obviously, but we'll see how the rest of the season folds out. It's still rather early. We have 12 games played in the Premier League, 4 in the Champions League, but Man City losing 3 games already in the Premier League. It's rough. They've fallen 8 points behind Liverpool, which is already a pretty big mountain to climb. They're relying on Liverpool to have to take some losses this year, which I don't know if they will. They're playing really well under the new coach, and it's going to be a really interesting season to say the least. But yeah, to any Man City fans, good luck. Next on today's list, we have some new beginnings for Manchester United. Now, as a Manchester United fan, it really sucks to see the position they've been in. They went from being the most dominant team in all of Europe, winning Premier Leagues, winning Champions Leagues. And these last 10 or so years after their great coach, Alex Ferguson, left, they just have not been able to get it together. They've been through a lot of coaches. As you can see here, Eric Ten Hag, the bald guy, he just got fired for his coaching, and they just weren't getting the results done. And I was a big fan of him, to be honest. I thought he was going to be the one to get Manchester United out of this rut that they've just been stuck in for years. I really did. It was looking really promising at times, but just not getting it done. Really, just not able to get it done, unfortunately for him. So he's out. As you can see here in the bottom left, we have Van Nistelrooy. He was a great player for Manchester United, and he's been an assistant coach under Eric Ten Hag. So he ended up taking charge for a couple of games, and they played very well under him. Very, very well. I don't believe they lost a game under him, actually, which is very impressive for Manchester United because they have been losing a lot of games. Yeah. They won 3 games and tied one, which, that's a really good streak for them as of late. But he's also on his way out now to make space for the new head coach that has been hired right here, Mr. Amarin. So he's looking very promising. He is coming from Sporting, who just beat Manchester City, the previous champions, in the Champions League. They stomped Manchester City. So it's, I hope that he does very well, and I think he definitely, he could do well, but it's hard, as we've seen with all these coaches coming and going. It's very hard to succeed at Manchester United right now, unfortunately. But he brings in a lot of positivity. He potentially is going to bring in his, Swedish striker who just scored 3 goals on Man City. But that won't be until next summer. So it'll be really interesting to see what he's able to do with the current team and if he's able to get them on a streak and get them going and just get them winning again because, Manchester United they need to win games. They need to win games desperately. So it'll be interesting. He said a lot of really positive things. I think his style of play is very positive. He comes from Sporting, who aren't, super well known on a European stage. They're not known to always, do the best. They're not always competitive with the top teams in Europe, but they've produced some really amazing players over the years. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo, who spent a lot of his career at Manchester United, came from Sporting. Louis Nani came from Sporting. He played for Manchester United. There's been a lot of really great players that have come from that program. So hopefully, he's able to bring that kind of knowledge and just, how to progress these players and how to make them play at their best, really. That's what he could possibly bring to Manchester United, and he could be the savior, but it's too early to tell. Obviously, they did tie today 1-1 against Ipswich Town, who are not a very good team. They're in 18th place, I think, in the league. They're in the relegation zone, and they tied 1-1. It was his first game. I think he's been there for like 2 days. He's been able to coach the players and train them. So you can't really judge anything off of this first game, I don't think. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here. But like I said, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with him. And come a year or two, he might be out, and we might be on to the next coach. But I hope he's the one to restore that winning mentality and that champion mentality in the team and really get them flowing again. In other news, we have Bayern Munich. They have a very interesting team right now. I don't think they have the best team they've had in recent years. They still have a very good team, a team that is more than capable to win, the German league and to win the Champions League, I think. Under the new coach company, they have lost a Champions League game to Aston Villa, which is not the best. That's the first game they've lost in years in the first stage of the Champions League. So, you know, in other words, they are doing very good in the Bundesliga. They have not lost a game yet, and they're top of the table. They're number one. So it's looking promising. There's definitely signs that they can be a very good team. Is Vincent Company, the new coach, the one to do that for them? I'm not sure. It'll be interesting. He hasn't been coaching for very long. Only I think 2 or 3 years he's really been actually coaching now after retiring from playing. So, he did some good things with his last team, Burnley, But I think for him, I think it's too early in his coaching career to really to build a team at Bayern and to stay at Bayern for a long time. But you never know. He could turn out to be a really amazing coach. We're just, again, we're gonna have to wait and see with these coaches. It's hard to tell. You have to give them time to see if they can do what they set out to do, which is obviously win games and win trophies. That's what the clubs hire them to do. So we'll have to wait and see if Bayern can do anything big this year. They haven't won a Champions League in a couple years. Last time they won was 2019, so it's been like 5 years. Um, so yeah, they are a team that's usually always trying to get that Champions League, and I hope to see them in the final this year. I really do. In other news, we have Liverpool, who are looking very dangerous. They're top of the Premier League. They're also top of the Champions League table, which is very surprising to me. They lost their coach, who had been their coach for many years, and he was a great coach, Jurgen Klopp. He was a really amazing coach, and I didn't know how this new coach was going to be able to handle coming in to a team like that just lost their coach that they've relied on for so many years, and that has pointed them in the right direction. But it just seems like they're doing business as usual, and they're really flowing right now, and they're winning a lot of games, and they're playing very well. They're looking very dangerous. So they're definitely a top contender for Champions League and for the Premier League, which would be a pretty incredible feat for them. But we'll just have to wait and see, see how they're doing. In other news, we have Chelsea in third place right now in the Premier League, which is very surprising. Chelsea are a team like Manchester United. They've struggled. They've gone through a lot of coaches, but a lot of money has been put into that team, and there just wasn't results. But now we are starting to see some results. They have their player Cole Palmer. He's just been the face of that team. He plays so well. So it'll be really interesting to see how Chelsea continue the rest of this season. Are they going to fall off? Are they going to start losing more games? They've lost 2 games this year. They've won 6 and tied 4. So it's just, we'll have to see if what they're going to be able to do. And I think for me so far, the biggest disappointment in the Premier League has got to be Arsenal. Arsenal are a team that, these last 2 years have been competing for the Premier League title with Manchester City. Obviously, they haven't won it, but they've been really competitive, and they've been a pretty hard team to beat. But they're sitting in fourth place, so it's not terrible. They are 9 points behind Liverpool in first. So it's not impossible, but they have to keep their form up and they have to keep winning games. Will they do that? I don't know. They've got some pretty bad injuries right now. Ben White, he's out for several months. He's an important defender for them. So it'll be interesting to see how their coach handles it and if they will be challenging for that title this year, or if Liverpool's going to run away with it, because right now Liverpool is really running away from it. So they're 7-8 points ahead of Man City, who are in second right now, and 12 games in to have a 7-point lead is pretty huge for them, I would say. And it's really positive for Man City. So yeah. But that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, down in the comments, let me know anything I might have missed, or any takes you might have, or what you think about Man City, what you think about the new coach at United. Is Liverpool going to win the Premier League? Is Arsenal going to bounce back? Is Man City going to bounce back? We'll see, but let me know down in the comments your thoughts. And, as always, have a great day. Please like and subscribe to the show. Thank you.